All right, good morning. This is Wednesday, October 15th. It is 10:30 Eastern Time. This is the Bookmap Options Millionaire stream. Today we're dealing with yet another relentless green blast-off. Yesterday's session, relentlessly green. Today's session, also relentlessly green. Up we go, 25,100. That now makes roughly 700, 800 points since yesterday's open. So up we go. We have call selling and put selling on the books. So this is 2 days in a row now that we have options selling on the 0DT, both sides of the tape being sold. So yeah. Nice, Fritz. I've done that before. Very yeah. 25,113 still going. So the overall thing here is I'm looking at the order flow to see how they're shifting. And the past couple of days have been very, very light with liquidity. There's not really any massive liquidity zones. There's nothing that's, 600, 700 points. It's just, small potatoes here, 25,125 down to 25,05. If you're looking at the S&P, they have a little bit 6780 and 6800. 6760. He's a farmer by profession for 12 years. Nice, Hal. I didn't know that. We just had a nice little quick move down that was instantly bottom wicked. What to 25.90, and they instantly bottom wicked that to come back up here. So maybe gathering a little liquidity or so. You can eat gummies or whatever, Alan. Yeah, it is pretty terrible. 25.05. Back and forth. We've now been in this little slow grind up since about 10:10 to 20, 10 cents a minute, after the massive green move. So where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? They are still selling calls here at the highs. Selling a bunch of calls here at the highs. If you are someone, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if you are someone who is just sitting on the edge of your seat waiting to short, if you wait long enough, you'll get your opportunity. But if you sit here and try to scalp every top wick, eventually you're either going to get destroyed, you're not going to have anything left, or you're just going to be so mentally exhausted by the time comes, you're not going to be able to take it. So just be patient. If you want to short, you'll have an opportunity, either now or in power hour. But confirm with the 3Cs, be patient, see if they have a liquidity inflow, because right now, trying to short this is like trying to pee into the wind. It's not a good idea. Not a good idea. Either ride the trend or do nothing. There's nothing wrong with being a spectator. No trade is just fine. I personally don't want to take drugs for much of anything. That's from basic. I use nicotine to drink on occasion, but overall, don't want anything on my stream. Yep. I imagine I've done more drugs than most people on this channel. Fentanyl is scary. If you do drugs, stay away. Always test for fentanyl first. Interesting. Amazon's crushed the lows, have they? Holy crap, what's going on with Amazon? Amazon is a little weird. What's going on with Amazon? They have some news posting or something? Nvidia's coming off. Where's all this green coming from? Nvidia's getting wrecked. They're about to put another low of the day in. Let's see. Microsoft is coming down. Amazon is getting crushed to new lows. Meta's climbing hard. Google is flying. So a couple of names are causing some green, but the big players are down. Interesting. Interesting. NASDAQ still going, 110. Absorbing into 114. Equal weighted S&P. Yeah, so the S&P, I see it. All the 10Xs are very green, so I see that. I'm just taking tech specifically. The big players are getting wrecked. But yeah, the S&P is holding up quite nice. Quite nice. I wouldn't be surprised to see a quick red move to shake out with all this selling I'm seeing with the Amazon. A little bit of pressure buildup is probably going to hit the pressure relief valve here. So we'll see. I could see it. Like right now, maybe. We'll see. They're building a little liquidity down here at 25.05. A little bit. We have still call selling. They're starting to buy into a couple of puts here. We'll see what they're going to do. 25.05 would be an area to look for in the event they did some shakeout. AMD's going crazy. Yeah. Do we have any volume inflows? Minor volume inflows, but nothing crazy at all. Nothing that's going to catch my eye. What happened to the stream? We switched over to Bookmap. So welcome, you found it. 25.104. ES is coming off just a little bit. A touch more bearish than NASDAQ. Just a touch. As they're coming off here. But still, NASDAQ is maintaining just fine up into the 110 area. They're starting to sell some calls pretty heavily here. We're down to, we are in a net call selling environment. 156 million in calls sold, 130 million in puts sold. About to put another high of the day in for NASDAQ. I'll just say this: working in a hospital for three drugs I've seen kill most people. Anything is number one: alcohol, cocaine, and fentanyl. Yep. Beautiful 3C short on gold. Heck yeah, Leo. Heck yeah. This is a pretty tight range. I'm curious what they're going to do with this. They are selling calls and buying puts big time, so they may have a retracement here. I'm watching them. Literally, they're selling everything they have on the option chain. 252 million in calls sold, 20 million in puts purchased, but that's down from 650 million of puts sold. So they're buying back puts here, and they're selling off calls. So very weird activity. Very weird activity. NASDAQ bottom wick. They're bottom wicking every single little move here. Something's going to shake out. I have a feeling something's going to shake out here soon. Another bottom wick. 10-year yields dumping. Nice. Do I see a gold setting up a short? Yeah. So they had that 3C move there. Top wick with volume, double top at 42.27. Beautiful move lower. I'm sad I missed it. That's the theme of today's move, is missing everything. Short sellers. Yeah, something's shaking out here. We have a slight amount of liquidity lower down to 25.0. We have a lot of big tech names dumping. We have a tremendous amount of call selling and put buying. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. 25.09 dropping. There we go. This is where they've defended heavily now for about an hour. So if they take this out, you might have a little bit move lower. $25.09. Then they'll get you with an Amazon Nvidia bounce. Yeah, probably. Probably. Oh, Treasury Besant said a stock market decline will not deter the United States from taking strong action against China. Interesting. The Moab, mother of all bubbles. Where do you pull all your options buying and selling from? I use SpotGamma's Hero tool for all that. It's great stuff. Another bottom wick back up to maintain the range. ES is on a very, very weak downtrend. NASDAQ is holding flat. Every single little move is pinned flat to get us pinning into 25,100 in a pretty tight range. You don't know which way it's going to break here, but this is not good stuff. A decline in the stock market would be due to soybean tweets. Heck yeah. Soybean tweets. Seems that China currently believes they're in a very strong position in the rare earth refining monopoly. Oh, look at that. Tremendous liquidity. 25,120. Right as we're heading lower, they're going to put a gigantic amount of liquidity higher. Interesting. They're all about the games today, man. They're all about the games. You should call this market ex-girlfriend because they want to play so many games. It's crazy. They're starting to put on a very weak bottom wick as they've been, at which we might be able to grab that 120. There we go. Spicy ex-girlfriend, yeah. Coming up to 120, which is that massive lot of liquidity. $25.09. Feels like they might take the low on $25.07 and bounce it. Well, let's go take a look. What are those names doing that are selling off? Amazon's starting to bounce. Nvidia is holding nicely at the lows. $25.09. Come back up, we're going to grab this liquidity. Anything ever happened with those air tags? No. No. Although I think I found the culprit. I think it actually is the neighbor's dog. Because, what was it? A couple of nights ago, actually. The neighbor texted us. That were 2 neighbors over. Texted us and said, hey, I caught the dog on camera literally dragging my package away from my porch and eating it. So they called the police and they had this big thing with the dog. And so apparently they're going to chain the dog up. But yeah, apparently it really is the dog. Because the package went missing and I tracked the air tag to like right on the border of our property. And I searched up and down for an hour looking for that stupid air tag in the package. Couldn't find it. So yeah. That dog just loves packages. It's crazy. All right, we're chilling out here 25,100. So far, this is a copy and paste of yesterday's session. Rocket ship, dead flat. Rocket ship, and even dead flatterer. Coming up to grab that big old liquidity. Is Amazon going to go 220? I don't know, maybe. Quick question. Where would you say everything clicked for you when it came to trading? You're a good communicator and a teacher. What motivates you to do live streams? Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Well, the click from trading came with honestly the first thing that got me to click with trading was position sizing. The very first thing that I was like, I had an aha moment and I come to Jesus, so to speak, was position sizing. Because up until no position sizing, I thought trading was how much money can I make in a single day? How much, every time I took on a trade and I made money, I always think, well, this would have been nice if I would have done this with twice the position sizing, or if I would have done this with my entire position, in my entire portfolio. And obviously that's a degenerate way to think because that's a path to destruction. Look, even more liquidity at 137. Look at this. Over 1,400 lots sitting at 137. So position sizing was the first thing. When I finally had that moment where I could pull everything back and just think, all right, well, instead of trying to make 100% in one day, I'm going to make 1% in a day, and I'm going to try to do that as many times as possible. And after a couple months in, I was like, holy crap, I've just made more money in the past 3 months than I ever thought I could because I'm just going one step at a time. And then after that, of course, you had to fully, the learning never stops. There was a million aha moments between now and then, but that was the first one. This is a scalper's paradise right here. Short every candle, or short every high and buy every low. You had to hear that? Definitely, Phil. Definitely. Google has a 3C play to the short side. They do, yeah. Yeah. Nice. We'll see if Google can get this thing down. ES is still downtrending. They're down almost 20 points. Almost 20 points from their highs. NASDAQ is not fallen yet. And they've got liquidity pull. Let's see at S&P. Do they have the same thing? Yeah. See, the S&P has got about 1,600 orders sitting at 67.60. So out of that to me, man, I don't know, maybe spoofing? Maybe spoofing? They're still selling the crap out of calls here. The option chain is not bullish right now. So I don't know how that's going to shake out because we have a bullish Bookmap and we have a bearish options chain. Makes sense. Thank you so much. Yeah, you're welcome, Johnny. Definitely. What motivates me to do live streams? It kind of happened accidentally. I posted a couple of trades and setups on Reddit and it went viral. Somebody suggested I do a Discord. So I did that. I had no idea what it was, just to chat with people. And someone from there suggested I do a YouTube channel, so I did that. And it just kind of morphed into people telling me that this is what I need to do. And here I am, 4 years later. So it's been fun. Another bottom wick, NASDAQ. $6,800 on S&P. 2508. We have a little, I wouldn't even call that high volume. We have a small inflow of volume here. And their bottom wick in 2501. I have to mute. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. All right, they have shifted all the liquidity up to 6,800, so they're just playing games here at this point. The liquidity on Bookmap is gone, or I'm sorry, for NASDAQ is gone. ES went up to 6,800. So, but they are still very bearish on the option chain. 590 million of calls sold. That is down from 900 million of calls purchased. So that is a 1.5 billion change of calls sold. What's up, Arctic Wolf? How you doing? What's your ice drink every day? Just some ice water. I drink ice water. Has anyone ever heard you use ChatGPT to find the probable levels and targets for the day of the week? If you haven't, I would recommend it. Make sure your prompts are thought out. Oh, interesting. Yeah. There was a tweet. Speaking of AI, there was a tweet yesterday saying that they are now going to allow you to have erotic chats with ChatGPT. So if you like doing that stuff with robots, today's your lucky day. $637 million in calls sold, 53 million in puts purchased. Ridiculously tight price action on NASDAQ. Just flat. ChatGPT yesterday said we would have a sell-off into the close and a dump to produce 3,000% returns. How did it guess that? Been meaning to ask you, if you randomly got $400,000, where would you put it? If you were to ask me at any point in the last 15 years, I would have said SPY. Right now, I don't know. If anything, maybe TLT. You know, TLT is not returning anything right now, but eventually it will. I don't know what I would do at 400 grand right now. Everything is so incredibly elevated. I don't know when the train's going to stop. This could continue to go, and we end up, you know, maybe next year we're buying SPX at 7,800 and 8,000. I don't know. Maybe next year I'm putting my property on, you know, I'm putting my property for sale for $220,000 an acre. I don't know. If you were to ask me last year if we would be at 6,700 in the SP right now, I'd say you're out of your mind, and I think I probably did say that to some people. So who knows? My gut feeling says right now the best place to be is a little bit risk-safe position. I won't say risk-off, but risk-safe position. I'm personally transitioning to a lot of DCA into TLT until I get a little more comfortable with these inflated prices. I'm not comfortable with the valuations of assets right now. Because although it's fun to open up my brokerage statement, it's fun to open up my TSP statement, and so it's fun to get these calls from my realtor saying, hey, we have people from California, you know, tripping over themselves to give you $60,000 to $70,000 an acre for your property. That stuff is fun, but that also means there's something coming. Because when things are going this crazy to one side, the other side of the coin is coming, and it's just a matter of time. So I don't know what. I'd probably say TLT. Aside from the fact of the debacle on tweets that we have to deal with on the day-to-day time frame. NASDAQ session PLC to switch to 2508. Nice. They are still trickling into call selling, put buying here. ES is holding at 67.50. You must continue to update it every hour. As long as you ask it to use all the AI power and available data it can gather. Has to use technical analysis and gives you probable ranges. Nice. Interesting. I wonder how that's going to play into the algorithms over the years. There we go. Coming up. Ten-year yield. Where's that at? Yield's dropping again. TLT is heading higher. New high, new monthly high. We haven't seen these levels since April on the bonds. Man, April, that sounds familiar. What happened in April? NASDAQ is up to 21,000 or 25,100. Huge volume on CL. Nice, look at that. 58.63 on CL, still dropping. Crazy stuff, man. NASDAQ putting on a very small top wick after a volume inflow after that big green move up. But they're just chilling. Versaroni, NASDAQ. That's a high volume flow with the top wick. Oh, minor top wick. Still chilling up here at 93. So in my mind, you know, I'm looking at the obvious stuff here. So what do you see? Do you really want to take a trade in this block? So the way I want y'all to start looking at stuff. Let's say you're someone who's looking for a top, looking for a short. Let me switch my screen over real quick. The way I'm looking at this is I don't want to look at these little bitty targets or these little bitty targets. I just pick out a range here, which we've got. So this is the whole top area. So that's why if you want to catch the right side of the V on any kind of short, you want to aim when it starts taking out lows for the big move down. Conversely, if we take out this high, which is a 1, 2, 3 top, then we're probably going to start shifting into second gear or shifting into fourth gear or fifth gear, whatever on the interstate, and head up to 1, 2, 5, which is, about right here. So pick the range out here and let's figure out what's going on. And don't diddle in the middle because there's a lot of shaking and back and forth here. Perplexity threw this out for me on support resistances. Interesting. All right, let's plot one of them. Well, they don't have anything today that's usable. 365 is way up there. Tessie, you have nothing to lose. Definitely, 100%. Big red. $25.08. Range bound. So there's that high volume inflow there. And then now we get a quick move down about 10, 15 points. Extremely tight range. 900 million in calls sold, and they're still buying puts. Still shifting a little bit lower. We have liquidity, very small liquidity at 112. It is very boring. $1 billion in calls sold. They're hitting them hard. What's the S&P doing here? Man, this is weird action. Very weird action. S&P is still dropping. Zero movement, but the option chain is looking very, very weird. Very odd. I'm watching the liquidity. They have some liquidity spiking up here to 112, but it's all small stuff. This range is chilling. I've been on my trades basically for an even day. Nice math. Something's up. Yeah, something's up. 1.2 billion in calls sold. You see these lines just going straight down? They're buying puts and selling calls at a very strong rate. It's very weird. VIX is still above 19. If it gets over 25, this market's hammering. Yep. So that was my thesis this morning, is that although the VIX is down on a percentage basis, it's still holding 19. We're not seeing deflation on volatility. In fact, volatility VIX is coming up now. So it's a wee bit odd to see that stuff. And as long as VIX is remaining these type of the levels, we're not out of the woods yet. It's very easy to think we're out of the woods because this is incredibly strong bull action in the past couple of days. But as long as volatility is holding those levels, the market's telling us we're not quite ready to de-risk. Are they going to dump a Roni? I don't know. 1.2 billion in calls sold, but we're still chilling at 25,100. SPX 6700 is current support. Right now, the 0 DTE exposure is 6730, but it's been diminished. Going back green to the top of the range, 6702. If I saw aggressive put buying, I would probably start hammering the bear mode here. Yes, they are selling the crap out of calls, but they're not buying a lot of puts. They have bought some puts, but not a lot. If we were like 2-3 billion in puts, I would probably start hammering into short positions here, at least strictly based on the options data. So, nice little top wick. You've got to claim the range low to even consider the lottery ticket of a move lower. They're just going back and forth. Ping pong. Ping pong. $1.3. 313 million in puts. So crazy we recovered 80% of Friday. Yeah, it's a pretty big move. That's how these things happen though, man. There's always, when the volatility kicks off, there's always both sides of the tape. You have everyone on Twitter jumping up and down saying, "Look at me, I'm right, you're wrong," claiming victory. But the only ones who are going to be victorious in this stuff are the ones who are patient. Because the way trend changes are not easy. Hit my target on the day. Nice Leo. Not saying this means a whole lot, but wasn't the other day a ton of put selling, a lot of call buying. Yesterday was a whole crap ton of put selling and a very little bit of call buying. So the anomaly yesterday was the fact that normally on such a bullish day, I want to see, 2-3 billion in calls purchased at least, but they only had a couple $100 million. But it was still a bullish day. It was still call buying, put selling, just not a lot of call buying. Today is tons of tons of call selling and a little bit of put buying. Not to say that that's going to translate into aggressive downside, but it's just it's an anomaly. That's all I'm saying. It's an anomaly. Bookmap right now has nothing except 6,800, which is higher. So my tools are not correlating with one another. The price action is dead flat up here at 25,009. We had a high volume top wick here at 25,110, which is leading a very moderate 3C short setup, but it's too early to tell. Accumulation distribution shenanigans, yeah. So we'll see. looking for SPX to retest 6,700, and then we'll see what happens. There you go. A little bit of red. The way this is going to kick off, in my opinion, is we're just going to have that right there. That's what I was about to say. Holy crap. There she goes. Look, call selling is extraordinary. Look at that. They are looking super bearish on the option chain. Super bearish on the options chain. I was about to say that. That's how they're going to kick this off, with a punch in the face. A massive punch in the face. Wow, look at that. They are piling into puts now. 700 million in puts, 1.7 billion calls sold. Wow. Let's see what it leads to. Bye, Felicia. They took the words out of my mouth. All right, well, they finally took out the low of the range. Closing under it would help, for sure. $800 million in puts, 1.8 billion. 1.8 billion calls sold. Tremendous amount of calls selling. Do you see these lines right here? They're both going straight down. Liquidity down to 25.05 on Bookmap. Nothing on ES. Wow. Interesting. Muy interesante. And bottom wick. Retest into liquidity. The 3Cs still demand a close. So we'll see what we can do. Crazy stuff. Can they do it? Is this the fake out? The fake out, shake out? You need a close. That right there is a retest of support. Crucial for any downside thesis. Crucial. That orange line right there on that chart. Never chase breakout candles. That's absolutely right, AR. When things are tight and all of a sudden you get a whammy candle, you don't chase it. You got to wait for that crucial, you got to wait for the close under your ranges. Right here. Right here. $25.08. The puts are pricey because of the VIX. True. Market needs for NVIDIA to find a base, then we'll go for a new high. But until NVIDIA can base, we'll get under 6,700 and we'll dump. If you think the puts are pricey, now wait till VIX go over 25, they'll triple. That's right. My swing position, although obviously red, it's holding up a lot better than I thought it would, even though it's still 5-6 weeks out, because the IVs are still maintaining. In fact, they're increasing back up now. So another red top wick here. They've got to get under the range low. If they get under the range low, there's a ton of potential for downside. Ton of potential for downside. But they are going to demand pristine entries with this 2506. There we go. Engulfing red candle. There's two engulfing red candles. You need the accelerator candle. These are just like you're getting onto the on-ramp of the interstate, but you need the candle where it stomps the gas. And all right, let's go. Let's go. I'm dropping. If you're in a trade on TPT funded and your trade goes up to $200,000 profit, would they pay this out to you, or would they be in the position of 10,000 million funded? If you're in a pro account, they shut your account off at a $10,000 day. So you can't make $200,000 in profit on the funded account. You can do it on the live account, but not the funded. They cap you at $10,000. They shut your account off. So the same little notification you get when you blow the account is the same notification you get when they shut it off when you hit 10,000. They'll close it for you, force close it. It's not necessarily a $10,000 trade, although it's semantics. It's a $10,000 day. Once you hit $10,000 in profits, they shut your account off, and the next day you trade on the live. They'll put you into a live, assuming you've already been live. If you haven't been live yet, it takes like 2 weeks. But if you've already been live, then it takes the next day. Another retest of the lows. NASDAQ has this whole block here at 50. $1.71 billion calls sold, 610 million puts purchased for a very bearish options chain. We have liquidity on Bookmap down to 25.05. We have this constant pressure under the day's lows. Once they close below the support and we have full absorption, that's when we'll get the big move lower. That's when we'll get the quick move. I want to say big. Quick move lower. So if you're looking for that big sweeping red candles that we'd love to see last week, they've got to be able to absorb this demand, which they're about to, and then you'll get your quick move lower. You'll get your nice big 30, 40, 50 point red candle on NASDAQ. Can they do it? I knew something was a little off with that options chain. Just reeked. Passed my second TPT eval. Nice logarithmic. Hopefully you can calculate you could chart your charts on a logarithmic scale. Never been live before, just wondering about the limits of this account. Yep. Another top wick here. Almost 800 million in puts purchased alongside of 1.7 billion calls sold. We have liquidity down to 25.05. We have 9 minutes left in the stream. And eventually we're going to see a decently red candle if this keeps up. I would probably say 40, 50 point red candle on NASDAQ if this keeps up. The pressure is building. It's like a pot of boiling water on down. They got to build it. Remember, we do have a Trump speech today, so maybe they're going to take some risk off ahead of his most likely China comments right here. When's that? 3 p.m. Eastern Time is when he's scheduled to speak. We have a 3C move lower, and now they've top wicked, and they're just building a position. I do think that this boiling pot is going to overflow here in a second. I don't know how long, but it's testing. We are below the support of the range. We have 718 million of puts purchased, 1.8 billion of calls sold. We have liquidity down to 25.05 and even a little bit down to 25, although it's very, very weak. ES has nothing on the books except that big level up at 6,800. There's another top wick. So they've gone from bottom wicking everything to now top wicking everything. And the bulls are in danger of losing the support. And they're going to have a waterfall here in a second if they can't hold it. If I had to guess what's going to happen here, if I'm right and they do shift this into lower gears, they're going to do it so quickly, at least on the initiation candle, that it's going to be difficult to track or difficult to get in a good entry. So looking to go long at 25,000. That'd probably be a good entry, 25,000 entry. That'd be roughly a little bit below the 50% of the range if they were to go down that far. I don't know if we'll get down that far, but 1.8 billion in puts sold, almost 800 million in calls or puts. I'm all over the place today. Puts purchased, calls sold. I can't see what's bringing us down. Well, if you look deeper under the hood, because tech did go green, but look at all the main stocks. Nvidia got wrecked. Nvidia is sitting at lows of the day after an engulfing red candle. Apple was green, but they're starting to drop. Microsoft was green, but they're starting to drop. Amazon got wrecked, put in new lows of the day. Meta was green, but now they're dumping. So there was only a couple of names holding up the NASDAQ. And now that the names that were green are coming back to red, NASDAQ is beginning to fall. So although tech is net green on the day, they are not doing so hot right now in the late morning price action. They just removed that big dog liquidity at 6,800, so now there's no more liquidity to the upside on the Bookmap. The order book is now skewed down. So we'll see what they're going to do with this. It's incredibly tight, incredibly wicky price action, aside from the one nice little candle we had. There's NASDAQ chilling. Bookmap liquidity is 0.41 on NASDAQ. 840 million puts purchased, 1.7 billion calls sold. What is the bond market doing right now? TLT at the moment is up nicely, starting to trim just a little bit, but up. NASDAQ come back up to the bottom of the range. This is the SR flip. Right here. Need a flush out here? Yeah. It's very, very slow. Buying it back up. Longs from here? I don't know. I don't know. Things are tight. I've got 3 minutes left in the stream, and I got to call it. So any questions, just let me know. Little green move. They took off all the liquidity on Bookmap, so there's not really anything to go on there. It's very, very light on ES and NASDAQ. Nothing on the book. Order book is extremely void. All we have is some options activity. We have some shaking and bacon. Ooh, bacon sounds good. Top wick. Three C at 58.47 and on CL. Does look like it, yes. On the 5-minute chart, I would look for 45 would be good. 45 will get you up. Man, gold had a beautiful 3C top wick there. RTY is top wicking just a hair. Another smokeroni top wick on NASDAQ. To answer your question, AR, no. Holy smokes. Look at that. Wow, they just engulfed the whole move. 900 million puts purchased. 1.7 billion calls sold. We have liquidity down to 25,030. Massive top wick. They're still selling into highs. Ripping the rips, baby. Ripping the rips. Can they do it? Red candles. Red-a-roni candles. Smoking a pancake? Pancakes sound good, man. You know how long it's been since I had a pancake? Hogan. Oh, yeah. 25.05. Still coming off. 1.9 billion puts sold. 910 million puts purchased. The options chain is aggressively bearish. Active positioning for negative deltas. Cream always rises to the top. 25.06. Oh, man. Fresh blueberry pancakes, fresh breakfast sausage over fire. Heck yeah, man. All right, 25.04. Now we're starting to shift. A little bit more activity. Coming down to 3030. 1.15 of puts purchased. 1.8 billion calls sold. Option chain is looking increasingly bearish. So we're already down about 70 points from highs after the 3C top wick on NASDAQ. So we have an actionable top wick on 3C short on NASDAQ. It's very, very slow, but we have more engulfing reds than we do greens. We have an incredibly bearish option chain. 2 billion puts sold. Or calls sold. 1 billion puts purchased. 3 billion negative deltas. I have to leave though. So it's 11:30, 10:30 Eastern, or 10:30 Central, so I do have to sign off, unfortunately. If you have questions about anything, please hit me up. It's been a little slow, but actionable. So I will see you all bright and early tomorrow morning for another beautiful day in the Discord server, or next Wednesday for another Bookmap stream. Hope you have a good rest of the day. I'm out. See you.